Jet program, interview results, venting your anger. Oh, be angry. Honestly, there's nothing you can really do about this point if you didn't get an interview. It's just how it is. You gotta wait till next year. And even if you failed, it's just something you have to come to terms with. I mean, just how it is. You gotta wait it out a year and apply again. There's nothing else. And spamming the jet coordinators isn't really gonna help your situation either. They're not gonna give you any explanation of why you failed the initial part of the application, and they won't even tell you why you failed the interview if you get that far. And let's be real again, if you failed, it's not really the end of the world. It does suck, but you can apply again next year, or you can look at other programs. Just try and improve your application. And you can vent as much as possible on, say, the JET Reddit forums. It's not going to change anything. No one from JET is going to look at it and be like, hey, this person deserves an interview. It's just how it goes. You got to deal with it. Now, venting's kind of good because you can kind of reflect on what you did wrong, but just don't let it drive you crazy. Oh, if I just had better recommendation letters, I would have made a difference. Or if I had that TOEFL certificate. Bro, it ain't that TOEFL certificate that gets you an interview. I didn't have one. Most people don't have a TOEFL certificate. Getting on board with, some English certification isn't gonna change the outcome of your application. There's just something you didn't have that they were looking for. And, it just kind of happens. If you don't have it, they can just pass on, go to the next applicant. Oh, they have what they want, There's some kind of underlying point system to the initial application, and I would say to the interviews, just like any other application to anything you've ever applied to, someone's scoring you and giving you a grade, whether it's A, B, C, D, or F. In this case, JET, it's either an A is passing, you get an interview, or F, you fail, you don't proceed on. Now, there's nothing wrong with failure, but there is something wrong with bad attitude, poor sportsmanship, and you kind of got to get over that if you want to get on JET the next time. You got to, be positive, think about what you can do better, how you can improve your application, what you think will make you stand out, where you failed possibly, and just ask for advice, ask for help, Don't be afraid to ask. Thinking you're the best when you're filling out your application, no. Have someone look over it, really look over what you did probably bad, and it easily could be your statement of purpose. I want to say 99% of the time where JETs don't get an interview is they have probably a bad statement of purpose where they thought it was good and they had one person look at it and they said it was good. No. And there's nothing bad about having a bad statement of purpose. Well, there is that you probably won't get an interview because of it. But the thing you got to think about is just how you can improve on your writing. Thinking you have the best writing skills right out of college? No. Sorry. No. It's just how it is. Being a good writer isn't easy. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of looking over your paper, consciously thinking about what you're writing about, making sure your statements are there correctly, and making things, easy to read. If you made something very complicated to read, and that probably put off the people reviewing your application, so that's why they didn't choose you. Now, from my experience, I got an interview each time, and I only applied twice. And the first time, I didn't do so well in my interview, and I got the alternate list. And I was tired of hanging out on the alternate list, so I just declined to go any further and just took another job with another teaching company, doing private teaching. And then guess what? I got another interview when I applied to JET again. And yes, I worked tirelessly over my statement of purpose. I probably spent 50 hours each one to make it good, actually to make it perfect. I don't know, I went back and saw some grammar errors, years later. I was like, what? They didn't care about the grammar errors. What they cared about was the topic and what I was getting at and why I wanted to be a JET and what I could do to give back to the community. That was the most important part of that of the initial part of the application process. The second most important part, of course, is the interview, and that's where you need to spend a lot of time. Now, if you want to know why you probably failed the interview, if it was last year or it's, coming up this year and you're gonna possibly fail, it's probably because you didn't spend a lot of time practicing for your interview, and I think that's one of my problems I had. Yeah, my second time interviewing, I spent a lot of time with one of my close friends who was also interviewing through the JET program, and we spent about 30 to 1 hour a day practicing for the interview as much as we could. We lined up our schedules and just did that repeatedly over and over and over until we knew all the questions we think we were going to be asked for the interview for the JET program. And we also had questions prepared to ask and everything else on top of that, and spent quite a lot of time, but it was good. It was successful. We both became JETs, but only because we put in a lot of effort for that portion as well. Not just the initial portion, but the interview portion. And does becoming a JET require any teaching or experience in Japan? Not at all. There's plenty of JETs who've never been to Japan, who've never taken a Japanese course, who never studied abroad, who don't have any teaching experience, who become JETs. That's just the reality of it. And you can make it your reality to become a JET if you just, work really hard on the application. Like, put in a lot of time, figure out where you can expand on your skills. Look at skills that are, that work for the application that you wouldn't normally consider. Yeah, think about if you work in administrative and you are good at scheduling tasks, filing paperwork, doing all this other little stuff. See how you can tie that into your paper or into your job skills list on there. Just think about all of the careers you've had, or even if you haven't had any club duties, stuff like that you can take into account for the JET program, and that just might help your application stand out better. So yeah, vent, be angry, just let it all out, cry, whatever you need to do. Just get through it, and then think about how you will apply this coming year and what you'll do differently and how you'll make a difference and how you impress the judges and everything you need to do to get on the JET program. That's just how it is.